All right. Okay, today we're going to taste a wine from Italy. This is the Polo Rosso di Montalcino. Now I get that sometimes Italian wines can be a little opaque in terms of what you're getting. Like the French, they don't always list the grape variety on the label. So this is Rosso di Montalcino, which is a red wine from Montalcino, and it is 100% Sangiovese. You may have heard of one called Brunello di Montalcino, which is also 100% Sangiovese. Montalcino is different. It's a different appellation to Chianti, let's say, but also Brunello is a slightly different version of Sangiovese. So there's a DNA difference, I understand. Oh, I can already smell it even before I pull the cork. That's lovely. Okay, so this is the Polo Rosso di Montalcino. So Brunello's quite an expensive wine. It's a higher classification. Rosso di Montalcino is is a sort of more general red wine from Montalcino, but it is still 100% Sangiovese. Let's have a look at it. First off, the colour. It's actually quite dark, but it's a lovely dark ruby red. This is probably not the best light to observe that. Comes under cork, but not cork. This looks like it's a composite, which means we're not going to have the danger of cork taint necessarily, or certainly a much lower chance. So straight off the bat on the nose, it's got some lovely red berry flavors, a little bit of sour cherry, and quite earthy as well. There's a definite savory element to the bouquet, to the aromas. And it smells quite warm. And what I mean by warm is that potentially it's got a higher alcohol. And this does come in at 14%. So that's probably up there in terms of Sangiovese. The notes are quite deep red berries. So like I said, sour cherries, maybe morello cherry, and more stewed raspberries, if you like. There's a definite jammy element to it. It's rich. It's quite a full aroma, and still quite a little bit savory. So it's got a nice little complexity there. On the palate, the first thing you notice is it's quite a medium tannin wine. So there's certainly a grippiness on the palate. The acidity is really good. It's moreish. It kickstarts the saliva gland, so you can feel the mouth kicking into gear, ready to drink more. So the structure is quite solid. And there's a dustiness to it as well. That's part of the tannin. It's quite attractive, that dustiness. It's part of that earthy, dusty characteristic that sits underneath the fruit characteristics. Really juicy red wine. Those fresh berry flavors that continue on the palate. So what you smell is what you taste. It's got a really good length. And this is this is from 2016. And 2016 was an excellent vintage in the north of Italy, and this is central Italy, but central North Italy had a really good vintage in 2016, and this represents that vintage really quite well, even though it's a lower classification of red wine. It's got plenty of power, it's got plenty of length, it's got lots of flavor. The structure is really good. So those tannins and those acids and the length, everything is really quite generous. It's definitely a food wine. It would be remiss to drink this without maybe some charcuterie, maybe some barbecued meats, certainly some pasta. The acidity means that you could probably eat something creamy with it. So if you had a rich tomato-based pasta or even a creamy pasta, then this would go well with that. Certainly barbecue meats and cheeses as well. It's not so tart that it would not suit cheeses. Really quite juicy and quite enjoyable. Forget spitting. It's really quite delicious. And it's got a little bit of that apple pip tannin as well, that dryness. It's a lovely wine. It's a lovely wine. San Polo, Rosso di Montalcino, 2016. Can't wait to finish that bottle.